Hey, Dale, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, Lance. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me talk to me. Man, I can't say enough about this movie. It was fantastic.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad people are taking to it. I'm really proud of it, and I hope it people will go see it. I think it's a
I,
lovely
I,
little
I,
film.
I can't see why not. I mean, it was seriously beautiful in every way. I love that it took its time and the stillness of it all. And both you and Wes were just wonderful. I feel like I'm Chris Farley right now. So let me get some questions. Um, so I actually saw that this part was like written for or with you in mind.
Mhm.
When you were sent this, did you know?
Actually, I did because Max sent me this lovely letter. This was probably like in April of 2020 during COVID, when we were all wondering if we were ever going to work again. And so it was my first job into COVID, and he wrote me such a beautiful love letter about how he admired my work and what he wanted to do with his filmmaking in Colorado, and why I was perfect for this role. And I read the script, and I knew I had to do it. It was so beautiful and simple and quiet and pure. Um, and so yeah, getting a letter like that is so flattering and heartwarming that I wanted to do it even without reading the script. But of course I did, and I saw his two short films, and yeah, I'm so glad he chose me. It was quite an honor.
I'm an actor as well, and just to have somebody think of you like that, that's got to be like a huge compliment.
It is, and particularly for a leading role, I, I've I love my career as a supporting actress who pops in and out of things. I like being in the shadows, so I was thought, wow, he's choosing a middle-aged, weathered woman to play the lead in this film. That's pretty cool. Way to go, Max.
uh, we don't really know a lot about Faye, and I feel like as an audience member, we don't really need to because of like the depth that you brought to her. Uh, but for you, did you like have to create any backstory in order to get that depth?
Yeah, Max and I talked about that, and I always create some sort of backstory, and I have like a sketchbook that I mark everything out so I can track my. Sometimes I draw pictures. It's my own weird little thing, but yes, originally there's quite a bit of dialogue, small snippets of dialogue, particularly with Lito. A couple of scenes that got cut where it's just more of us getting to know each other. But like almost every time I met someone, I would tell them. I think I tell the four boys when I noticed their truck. I used to work on my dad's trucks, and then she was a deep sea diver in South America. It's like then she's a bush plane pilot at Yosemite. So she's had a very industrious worker bee life, and met her husband through that, and then the past 7 years she's been by herself. And so that was pretty much it, deciding, I was from that area. Wes and I, our characters were both probably from that area, and that's why we had grown up going there, but maybe haven't lived that far apart, but never got back in touch. So, you know yeah, we I worked with Max on that. And so just so I had my grounding and knew where I'd come from and why I was there, waiting on Lito. Waiting
Uh,
on Lito.
you and Wes like worked so wonderfully together. Did you guys spend any time prior to filming to get your rhythms down because it was just so perfect?
We didn't. We were in the same house because of the bubble. They had us in a separate farmhouse, different levels, and so we would. Wes arrived a week later. I was there by myself the first week, and we just pretty much got to know each other casually. Watching TV and eating and going to set. We did make a decision not to talk in depth about our characters to each other because we wanted it to be spontaneous and awkward. And so I think that really helped in this case. We knew what our childhood had been like. We knew, like, there was a scene where he talks about his grandmother was really close to, I think, my grandmother. So you didn't really need any of that, but we knew that. And the rest of it is the unknown. So we wanted that to be fresh, and I think it worked, you know.
Yeah, I would say so. um, I want to go back to the you creating the backstory. So once you do the sketchbook, do you go back and reference it throughout the filming?
Yeah, I mean, it generally, I think we've kind of filmed things in sequence, but that doesn't always happen. And just, even though Faye is on a routine and there's the same things that happen each day with the crawfish, there's always, each day is different. This day she's met the kids, it's not Lito. This day the car's pulled up, it's not Lito. This day the couple has come across. So in my mind, I have to track where Faye was in her quietness. So the sketchbook helps me just flip a couple of pages and go, okay, on this day I did this, and this, and now it helps me follow the journey and the arc of the character.
One thing I noticed, and I could be completely wrong, is that at the beginning of the film, when you're alone, you have like this different posture and you're a bit slower. But when Wes arrives, those kind of all vanish. And even by the end of the film, you're like standing straight up and you're like peppier in step. Was that something that you initially brought to the part, or I mean, that was just. I actually want to watch it again just to sort of track that.
I love that you picked up on that. It was conscious and unconscious choice. I knew that Faye's physicality was different from mine. She's very deliberate, and Max talked a lot about routine is her salvation to get through the days. If she can get out of bed and make her crawfish and read a book and listen to the radio, it keeps her going. And I had picked a distinctive walk I wanted Faye to have. I wanted her to have kind of a feminine walk. But yeah, the posture is different from Dale, very deliberate. And then I think, yes, when Wes arrives, Lito, just that natural instinctual girliness, awkwardness comes out, even though we're middle-aged, those butterflies don't go away. And by the end, each step she's come has given her a little more strength. And so it is a rebirth. I'm even the wardrobe girl decided they're finally putting me in colors. The rest of the time I'm in neutral tones, and I'm in a different outfit. It's like it's a new day. I'm starting over, and the sheep collared to the mountain, and it's a proud, not defiant, but determined walk. So yeah, I'm glad you noticed that. I think it's important. I worked really hard on. Max helped me a lot with the physicality, I think.
Yeah, that was just so wonderful to watch.
And sometimes it's just innate. You're not even aware it's happening. It just comes out because you're focusing on the story and hoping, trying to tell the truth.
Well, I would imagine it would be. It's easier to do because you said you kind of filmed it in chronological order a little bit.
Pretty much, if I can remember. There's always some other pieces you have to go back and get, but it definitely helped chronologically. Yeah, she's just in a different space emotionally, which does affect our posture completely. Mm-hmm. I know when I sit up and breathe properly, it feels so much better than when I'm like this. When I'm depressed and isolating. Get out and climb a mountain.
Right, yeah. There's not a lot of films where the camera is on somebody for kind of a longer period of time, where you're just watching them and watching them think, and thoughts go through their head. And a lot of the times I could just feel you, like from the watching it, just like what you were thinking. And like as an actor, again, like how did you sort of radiate that, throughout on screen? Like, I imagine you weren't thinking, man, I can't wait till lunch,
When is lunch? I love those quiet scenes because even though they're very challenging, that was part of my fear is, can I hold the camera? I've said this over and over again too. I have a very animated face, so any subtle move looks big. And I really concentrated on trying to find a different space for Faye, that being present and with yourself and alone. And it was challenging, but when I got there, it was so peaceful. I loved it. And as long as I'm telling the story and engrossed in Faye's journey, those thoughts just come naturally. If I break character for any reason, and I know it's not truthful, I'll go back. But for the most part, it was an easy flow. We had a great crew, small crew of 9, everybody at the top of their game. They'd all gone to film school together. So it was a very supportive group. Alfonso, our cinematographer, I kept wearing those extreme close-ups because I had gotten so sunburned. They didn't have any makeup, just sunscreen. My nose was peeling. And I was like, Alfonso, I know you can see my scaly nose. What's going on? Dale, you are beautiful. You are beautiful. And I'm like, okay. I'm going to trust you on that.
So I think this might be my last question, but just something I love to ask everybody. What's been your worst audition ever?
Oh, geez. Oh, wow. That years ago, back in New York, I went in, I think it was for a musical, an off-Broadway musical. And I was so excited because it was the kind of music that fit in my range. And it was an open call, which I did tons of. And I knew the girl that had just come out had this huge voice because I'd heard them like really responding to her. So I went in, and I mean, 5 people in the room did not give me the time of day. Once I started, it was literally like they were laughing at me because we've seen what we want. And they started eating their lunch. I would so many open calls in New York, and you never know. It's just crazy how rude people can be. But I wanted to stop and go, this isn't worth my time. But I held back my tears and I finished my song and I left and I learned a lesson. It's like, I'm whatever. That shit happens. So say la vie.
Well, Dale, I mean, God, I love this movie, and I hope this brings like a million more opportunities for you. You're fantastic in it.
Thank you so much, Lance. I really appreciate your support, and maybe we'll work together sometime.
I would love that. Yes, I'll call somebody. Have my people call your people.
Oh yeah, we'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay, however
right.
That works. I'm not quite sure, but thank you so much.
Thank you again. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.